You can use pretty much any types of chords you want for playing the rhythm guitar part on Milk Cow. Eldon Chamberlain certainly played all manner of chords. What I'm going to show you here first is the way that I play it, based on the guitar playing of Freddie Green, who was Count Basie's guitarist. There's a body of chords that play a bass note on the low E string, skip the A string, and then play another couple of strings in the middle strings. It gives you a nice separation between the bass note and the next highest note, and just stripped down and clean. And so this is the way that I might typically play the first verse on Milk Cow Blues. Well, I woke up this morning, looked outdoors. I can tell my little milk cow, I can tell by the way she lows. If you see my milk cow, please drive her on home. I ain't had no milk or butter since my little cow's been gone. So the chord that I'm playing on for the G chord is contained within our regular barred G chord like we all play there, F form. And it's these notes here, I'll call them out from the bottom. It's from the low E string, it's 3rd fret, skip the A string, 3rd fret on the D string, 4th fret on the G string, and you mute or don't play the other 2 strings. So you've got the root, the flat 7, and the 3rd of the G 7th chord. And of course you can use that on the C chord and on the D chord as well. Another form that I often use for both the C and the D chords is this form here. Everybody knows how to play a C 7th chord like that, cowboy chord territory. If you're playing it in alternating bass style, if you just stick with that bass note there, the G note, you've got a C 7th chord with the 5th of the chord, the G in the bottom. A lot of times I don't bother to play the C note there and just play the lower 4 strings. So that's a C 7th chord. Take it up 2 frets, of course, and there's your D 7th as well. And so I use those a lot also. Usually when I'm playing the C chord before the 4 chord on the way back to the G 7th chord, I usually will play C sharp diminished for the last 2 beats of the C chord. And so you've got on the C chord, and so that is simply, if you're playing it down here, I'll call out that diminished chord. This is G is in the root. Some people would call it a G diminished chord. It also is a C sharp diminished chord. And so the way that that is played is from the low E string, you've got 3, skip the A string, 2 on the D string, 3 on the G string, and 2 on the B string. If you're playing your C chord up here on the 8th fret, that chord is found 1/2 step higher, C sharp diminished here, exactly the same fingering, just up here on the 9th fret for the low E string, and I'll just call it out. It is 9, skip the A string, 8 on the D string, 9 on the G string, and 8 on the B string. I also put the diminished chord, G sharp diminished chord, between the G and the D string coming up. Ain't had no milk or butter. As a diminished chord, you don't really have to have that note on the B string at all. It will pass. If you're playing the C chord there, it's not going to sound like you've changed at all unless you put that C sharp in, add that B string note, and so I always do if I'm doing it there, but you don't really need it in these other positions. Other things that you can do is you can walk up from the G chord to the C chord. And the way I'm doing that is this. G7 chord first. The second chord up is what most people like to call an F chord. It certainly is, F-A-C. You might also call it some sort of A minor type chord, A minor with a minor sixth. I'll spell that one out for you. From the low E string, again, it's going to be 5. Skip the A string, play the F note, 3rd fret of the D string, the C note, 5th fret of the G string. So then A sharp diminished, and then you play G. That same chord forms as we just used on the F there, spelled from the bottom note. The B is the 7th fret of the E string, skip the A string. The A note, the G note is the 5th fret on the D string. The D note there is the 7th fret on the G string. So A sharp diminished in between. When you're up there on the G, if you want to add the 7th to make it a G 7th, you can do that by adding the 6th fret on the B string, which will be the F note, the 7th of the chord.